Okay, Olivia Coetzee, M Coetzee. Dit is een groot voorrecht en een eer om hier te wees met jou vanavond. Om hierdie boek Innie Shadows bekend te stel. Ek en jy ken mekaar nou al baie lang pad al. Olivia, soos baie van julle sal weet, het gestudeer aan IWK. She studied linguistics, then went on to do an honors in history and a master's in creative writing at UCT, from UCT, and I believe this is where the manuscript, the origins of the manuscript are. You know, just to say, I encountered your work. You're a blogger, you're a poet, you're a media worker, an activist, a human rights activist, and one of the ways in which I know your work is through poetry. You contributed to a very important collection called the African Sexualities Reader, and you have a poem in there that I think is a very exciting poem. And you are one of the writers. I also write about you in an essay in Our Words, Our Worlds, but one of the writers in contemporary South Africa that defines what it means to be queer, black woman, African at this particular moment in our history. And so I think you are an exciting writer in that way. A very contemporary, dealing with issues of queerness, identity, blackness. And so I'm going to just launch off with my first question and ask you what moved you to write this particular work in the genre of the novel, seeing as you're such a multi-talented in essays, in poetry. There was obviously a very deliberate decision to pen a novel, and in the way in which you write it in Kaaps. Can you give us a bit of insight into that?
Okay. Sorry about that. So, in my third year, one of my friends at campus, she asked me, like, why don't you join this creative writing class, Lillian? And then I thought about it, and it's like, no, but I'm a poet, I don't need to go and do that. Ik het besluit, ik ga Amerikaans vat. Ik heb mijn derde jaar die elective gedaan. Guys, I'm gonna speak mixed, so just to feel comfortable within my skin. Ik heb toen die elective gedaan en toen ik klaar was met mijn derde jaar, oké, wat ga ik nou doen? Oké, honors, en daarna honors, wat ga ik doen? So I decided, I want to go and do this. I want to be a writer. This is what I want to do. Papa met jou zei van, hoe gaan ze geld maken? Hoe gaan ze, how are you going to do this? It's like, I don't know, but this is what I want to do. I'm an artist, I come from this background. Nou niet background in the sense van, ik heb zo opgegroeid niet, maar dat was voor about 5 jaar wat ik besloot dat, I'm just gonna go into myself and experience this artist that I have within me. En toen heb ik aanzoek gedaan voor mijn meestersgraad. Ik heb about 2 short stories gedaan bij het IWK. En dus al stories, lange stories heb ik geschreven. Basically everything else I did was poetry. And they accepted me, and from there it was just, writing became longer than just poems. It became short stories. And then afterwards, for your manuscript you have to write a 50,000 word piece. And that's what I did. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other question I have, obviously what is so unique about this novel is the form. The genre of the novel is quite traditional, but the form and the language that you use. So Kaaps, Afrikaans behoort aan ons. Dit was oorspronklik ons taal. Dit is weggevat van ons violently. En daar is nou die movement om die taal weer terug te vat, om to reclaim it. And I think this is such an important work that is doing that work of reclamation. Tell us about that decision to write in Kaaps, and then also what was the difficulty and the challenge of producing something in a language that has existed for decades, centuries, but hasn't really been written down. There were no formal rules, no one really before you, maybe Kenneth, Adam Small, But tell us a bit about that decision.
Now, like, it's a little bit embarrassed to say that, I didn't know all of those writers. It wasn't a part of my reality to, daar's boeke wat Adam Small geskryf het, poetry or whatever nie. Okay, let me answer your question.
You don't have to.
The book, Innie Shadows was hier, Innie Shadows, I was so gesê. It was written in English. I believed that I needed to write in English, and my beautiful supervisor told me, girl, you can't write in English. And I understand what she was saying, and I went to go and rewrite this book, and it just came to life. Daar iets gebeur met die boek, en het Innie Shadows geraak. En het vet, die biene, daar het vlees aangekom en alles uit. En kan julle my hoor aan die agterkant? As daar is ek die mic lees, want die mic voorbij is so aan my. And so I just I wrote, ek het geskryf, soos ek praat. Die taal is hy is nie gestandardise, hy is nie, daar is die woordeboeke en alles daar nie, so I was writing, okay, hoe sê jy nou, Annie, okay, hoe gaan die nou klink, wat klink het, and that's what I did, and my supervisor Sonia Lords, she was just amazing in allowing me to create this, she wasn't standing there and saying, look here, no, nie so nie, daar is hoe het mense het skryf nie, she was just go, and this, that was the start of this. And Kaaps, ek het opgegroeid in Kaaps, ek het my woorde gekry in Kaaps, ek het my storie gekry in Kaaps. I was born in Namibia and brought here, all the way from there here, and I grew up here. I grew up in the streets of Electric City. En ek ken van Sabela, en ek ken van, die gangstertaal en alles die. But this language gave me life. Ek verstaan myself met die wêreld om my, die taal. And that's the only way I could do it. I just felt right. And, sorry Barbara, die mense, daar's klomp mense wat voor my al geroep het, but die taal, that started this movement, like Blackpool, Jits van hulle. I'm sorry guys. And I never, ek het nooit gedink dat ek sal kan deel raak van die movement. Because die is wat die oppression gedoen het, apartheid gedoen het, in die sens van, die is jou taal nie. They praat Afrikaans, but I'm like, I go to school and I'm like, this language is not mine. I don't understand this language. I go home and I speak a different language. So, after writing this, after feeling what it did to me, it feels good to be a part of this.
Ek gaan jou nou vra om 'n bietjie uit die boek te lees. Ek het jou gevra om 'n passage te kies. Het jy 'n gunsteling gedeelte wat jy wil lees vir ons?
Ek kry dit gewoon. So die chapter is, the title is 'n pasbroek bly 'n pasbroek. Ek wens ek het verbood gemeet toe sy nog lewe het. Ek wonder wat sy stories is, of sou sy vertel het oor haar lewe. Miskien het sy meer gehou van tee as koffie. Miskien het sy nie kinders gehad nie, en al die dooie mense was haar kinders. Ek wens net die vibrasies en koude kan uit my vel uitklim. Die mense met hulle kussingslope koppe, ek wonder of hulle dink aan die dood. Nie my dood nie, maar dood. Hoe kan mense sy harte so koud raak? Imagine dood het 'n hond gehad, met die naam Snowy. Ek wens ek het haar geken, toe sy nog 'n naam gehad het, met 'n van, toe sy nog kon gevoel het. Ek het nie vir die gevra nie. Ek het nie gevra dat my ma te vroeg van my af weggevat word het. Ek het nie. Miskien as ek vir dood geken het, toe sy nog 'n mens was, kon sy verstaan het waar ek gaan. Miskien sou sy my nou gehelp het.
Ja, oké.
Okay. Hulle het die kanne langs my kos sit, dit ruik soos petrol. Die twee het met mekaar gelag soos hulle vieze kant op gestaan het. Ek het nooit gedink ek sal so verdood nie. Ek het altyd gedink as ek lank genoeg met tik uitdrang, dan sal die liewe bittere raak. Net soos die eerste keer wat ek getik het. Hoe hulle mens asem wanneer jou hele liggaam aan die brand is. Miskien is dood een van hulle, Bybel in die hand, met 'n kussingsloop oor die kop. Sy wag om haar lam sy wag op haar lam geslag te word. Miskien was die sikkel doodse geboortereg. Miskien was dit my geboortereg. Miskien was die waar ek nou sit, die enigste einde van my pad. Ja.
Sure, I had chills when I read that. Miskien was dit my geboortereg. Die karakters, en ek wil in die segue into the discussion of the characters en veral Carl. Hierdie karakters, toe ek die boek lees, het ek gevoel ek is in die huis met Carl en sy ma. Ek het that texture of the argument, the mother-son relationship, because I have a son also that's probably that age. But these characters, they live on afterwards, and I feel like you kind of walk with them. Can you say a bit about the just inspiration? Who did you draw on? Where did these characters come from? Because they are so faithfully sketched. You can smell them. You can smell the dishwater in the sink. You can feel it. So sê 'n bietjie daai detail ook.
Okay.
Sorry, microphone.
Okay, sorry. Like my throat was yeah. So I don't want to do that the whole time in the mic, but okay. So the characters. I think what happened for me was I've accumulated all of this data, let's call it that, as I was walking through life, meeting all these wonderful people through life, and selfs van my eie experiences ook net in die huis en daai, het ek dinge opgetel, en toe ek nou kom sit om die boek te skryf, het al die goedes deurgevloei. Ek het 'n keuse gemaak, okay, die gaan nou Barbara wees, ek gaan nou die storie op Barbara se wiewe sit, op die ene gaan Lillian wees, of that one is gonna be Weesie, or that wasn't it. It was, I don't know, I keep on feeling like I want to call it spiritual, because that is what it is for me. When I go and I sit down and I write, it is not, okay, I'm going to draw this now, die is wat Carl moet wees, okay, hy is nou Carl, hy is a tikko. That was about it for me. That's where I started, and I just allowed it to come through. And I don't know how else to explain it, because I know this question is going to come up every time. Hoe is dit gedoen? How? But I can't explain it, and I know that the writers, I know that we've spoken about this way. These characters, they come through, and it's just weird how they come through. I don't have an explanation for it, unfortunately.
And sometimes they nag you, right? When you're not doing your writing. It's like they're sitting on your shoulder saying, when are you going to finish this? And the other character is the place, and the shadows. It is very recognizable, but not recognizable also. So you didn't name the place. It is a sort of everywhere. It could be any place. Was that obviously that was a deliberate decision, not to set it in a place that we actually know?
No, I wanted it to be, because it's just a community, in a colored community. It's a community. You can find this anywhere. In Southern Africa, you'll find this community as a township. So you'll find these different characters. I think what I wanted to do is I wanted to open up the book not just to a certain group of people, but to people. If this book calls you, come and read it. If you understand the language, you feel the language, you pick it up and it's yours. Read it. It's cool. Maybe you find someone that you can relate with in there.
Yeah, and the other thing what was so satisfying. So the story, there's the plot. You read sometimes. Well, I read for many different things. I'll read a book many times. So there's the plot, right? There's that. How does it hang together? And the plot is quite difficult. It's a hard book. It's Carl the Tekop. There's really no way that ends well unless there's an intervention. And we know that Carl is you don't know, but Carl he doesn't have anyone. He's an orphan. Well, he has people, but not someone who's really going to help him out of that. And so the thing that the language does is it makes the story also bearable, because when you get into that language, it's so delicious. Mens kry so lekker. As jy so 'n mooi sin lees, soos nou tik is my geboortereg. Dis treffend. Dit is it's refreshing, it's new, it's unique. It hits you in the gut. It's an incredible way in which you craft language, and you know this is why I said when I read it that it's like you're crafting a new language, and that is very gratifying as a reader to read. So how did you balance out with the story? It's a dark story. It's about addiction. There's a lot of violence. You sketch the place very beautifully, though. There's that scene where the kids play on the mattress, and there's a very incredible beauty in it, in the air around them. The mother's dreams, like she wants to see the sea. How do you balance the toughness of the story with still making the story something that maybe someone's not just going to be like, oh, it's unbearable?
I think because I wanted it to be as close to reality as possible, like, you know, like as a reflection of who we are as a community. I wanted that in there, you know. We don't just live in life where, you know, everything is just dark. You have this light that's constantly burning, this hope that's constantly burning in the communities, and you can see it, you can feel it. There's always hope, there's always laughter, there's always that good feeling of community, and I think that's what I wanted to bring into the book for the reader, to experience that. Because yeah, we go through that, and we want to be able to pick up a book and relate to, you know, to keep that hope burning. I think that's what I try to do. I don't know, yeah.
And that is also very important. And you know, also knowing you as an activist, a part of that, your activist life comes through in the novel. The novel has a lot. There are many queer characters. There's a transgender character. How did with those? We deal with homophobia, rampant homophobia. There's religious homophobia and homophobia of the mother of one of the queer characters. How difficult is it to untangle those kinds of relationships and write about it in a way that still affords people dignity without it becoming, you know, just so much violence, so much homophobia? Nee, want ek weet nie wat is homofobie in Afrikaans. Homofobie. Kyk hierso.
So you know
I'm just okay. No, that's homophobia. Daar's baie queer karakters. Is dit hoe skryf jy 'n queer karakter? Soos Nick, dit was een van my gunsteling karakters. Nick is transgender. Weer wil ek wil so net in daai Nick se kop inklim.
Okay.
En ek wil in jou kop inklim en dit is wat ek eintlik vra.
Okay, maar dit
is 'n komplekse karakter en
say us in jammer dat ek jou nou, but I'm going to try and answer this as I'm understanding what you're saying.
Yeah.
Ek is actually nog altyd bang dat daar gaan mense wees wat vir Nick gaan lees. They're going to read it and they're going to say, but this is not true. This is not a transgender experience, because that is not who I am. I may be queer, I may be lesbian, and I have gone through, you know, being an activist. I'm still an activist, and I've seen people's experiences, but I haven't experienced it myself. So I've been scared, like, you know, people will come back and say, but this is not true. And that's why I asked you to be my editor, so that you can look at that and say, no, but it's cool. You know, go. Of course you are. Yeah. And so I do hope that Nick's experience and the way she is, that I wrote it truthfully, that people who are transgender, that they can relate to this character. In die rede kom ek vir haar so geskryf het because I guess I was just, you know, I had to put myself into her shoes because that's what happens. That you know, when you write, it's like you go into your character, or your character comes into you, or that's how I can describe it. The same with like, that's why it was difficult for me to write Rose and Richard because of who they are. And
just give some context for the audience who may not have
wil nou
read
nie baie weggee nie,
Ja.
maar Rose, Sister Rose, okay, Sister Rose en Pastor Richard. En Sister Rose raak verlief op Pastor Richard. And they just, you know, they take power into their own hands and use religion, or use Christianity as means to control. You know, just to not give anything else away, but that's who they are, and they're very dark. But also, Rose sit met 'n agterstorie. Daar's iets wat verkeerd gegaan het met haar, you know, verkeerd gegaan het. And she's still struggling with that. I wish that I could write, you know, just the story of Rose, just to figure out, you know, who she is as a person, as why more, to understand that more. So, het ek jou antwoord?
Nie eintlik nie, maar is dit No, I'm asking an impossible question
No,
because
but
it's
I feel like, you know, it's like you create, or I created who I felt Nick was.
Yeah.
She was this person, you know, she's always wanted to be herself, experience herself in life as a woman, you know, and that's not how she was born. And I had to be truthful to her, and I hope that I was. And the same with Gershwin. And I don't want to call it tikop the whole time, because I said it first and I was like, no, but that's not true.
No.
Carl is not a tikop, you know, that's not his. That's for, and I was like, no, hoe kan ze dat gesê? Dis nie wat jy kan sê, you know. And I don't know why I'm feeling like that, but he's not a tikop. There's something more to Carl than just being a tikop, you know.
apologies. I apologize
Yeah, sorry,
to you
Carl.
and I apologize to Carl. No, you're right. And I mean, you sketch that, jy skets dit met soveel deernis. Carl se storie, sy ma en sy pa, hoe hy eintlik uit 'n loving setup uitkom. He's an incredibly well-written character, and you kind of watch his journey. Ek wil net so vir Carl gryp en vir hom sê, hou nou op, seun. So it's very easy, I think, as a reader to get just sucked into the text in a very particular way. And you're right, the other character that I really identified with is Rose, the mother, and she's kind of an unsavory, unsatisfactory, horrible character, but the frustration that she lives with is so palpable in the novel that I could feel it and could relate to it, actually. Wil jy asseblief nog 'n paar paragrafe vir ons lees?
Sal jy?
Ek sal.
Nie wil nie.
With the microphone also.
Okay. Een van my dinges is vind. Okay. Rose het opgegee om haar ma en pa se foto van die meer af te haal en weg te steek. Van Gershwin het dit sy doel elke keer gemaak om dit te soek en dit net weer op te hang. Wanneer sy weer kyk, hang dit net weer op sy plek. Dis soos hulle nog steeds spook in elke hoek van haar huis. Rose verwyk vir Gershwin, want haar ma het haar verstoot. En haar ma het bloedskande as haar eie aangeneem. 'n tweede kind, en die seun wat haar ma nooit haar pa kon geneem. Dit maak nie saak wat sy gedoen het nie. Haar pa het net elke aand teruggekom. En haar ma het hom nie gekeer nie. Sy het probeer om haar lyf weg te steek. Dat het nie gehelp nie. Dit maak nie saak hoe vet sy geraak het nie. Haar pa het net elke aand teruggekom. Sy weet Gershwin sal nie verstaan wat sy elke keer moet deurmaak. Wanneer sy in die gesigte van haar ma en pa moet vaskyk. Toe sy amper haar voet verloor het nadat die taxi aangery het haar pa nog steeds nie opgehou nie. Sy het al probeer om die foto van haar ouers wat hang teen die muur uit te brand, maar dis soos hulle gister in Gershwin lewe. En hy kry dit terug net voor sy dit wil brand. Niemand sal verstaan hoe die smile op Gershwin se gesig haar pa terug in haar lewe bring nie. En niemand gee om nie. Dis net Pastor Richard wat omgee vir haar, dink sy.
Thank you. So, in writing this, or not just as a writer, I know you wrote, or you were translating the Bible into Kaaps. Or can you tell us also just a bit about that project?
I'm still translating the Bible in Kaaps, and I would like to continue doing it. I'm doing it for Litnik. They are an independent journal, online journal, and I've been writing for them since 2016. And I enjoy doing it. The first time they asked me to do it, Prof. Etienne, he asked me, and I was like, no, how dare I translate the Bible? A vrouwmens, hoe kan ik, hoe, nooit nie. En er was een Kaaps, what? And he was just like, no man, just come, try it. And you know, my teenage years, I was a born again Christian. I went through it. I understand the Bible. I have this relationship with the Bible, with God. And what it did to me, what it brought to me as just a believer, not in religion, but in God, it brought something different to me. And I just enjoy doing it. Ik voel dat het gee 'n mens die kans om die woord in jou eie taal te lees, which is cool. I think it opens up a lot for people, or for me, you know, because that's what it did for me.
Yeah, to see ourselves reflected in literature, in writing, in the Bible, it's such a powerful thing, and it's such a gift. So thank you for that gift. And I want to link this to so you were practicing in a way, you were preparing with this translating, which is a whole different kind of skill, right? It's I know translators who say it's an art form. You're actually producing a whole new artwork. It's not a copy or a replica of the thing that you're translating. It's a new form. And then with Innie Shadows. So who were the influences then that you look to other writers to inform your work and maybe to draw inspiration from?
Okay, so I didn't have the privilege to read a lot as a child or as a teenager or as a young person. It was just not, you know, ons leesie, ons mense, that's, you know, there might be books in the house, but it's not something that you do because you have other things to do. And so I guess I'm going to use this as an excuse now, but that's just what it is. I haven't really been a reader. So the few people that I've read, you know, in South Africa, Kees Haloteka, he was one of my favorites, just because I experienced OBS at one point in my life and I could just relate to what he was talking about, and also how crazy it made you, like that type of life and what it did. The other person that's local, we spoke about it earlier, Bucas. Yes, Lauren, yes, Lauren Bucas, because of the type of work she writes about. It's very, I will say crazy, like it's, what's that genre now? Sci-fi, yes, kind of weird stuff happening, you know. The first book I read about her was they were, you know, you had creatures on that was hanging out on the shoulders, and I was like, yo, sulke goed wat hier gebeur. Oh, like this. And then, of course, what's his name? Dion Meyer. Also, because he writes sci-fi. I want zombies in Mitchell's Plain. I seriously want zombies in Mitchell's Plain. I wanted the, and the only reason why I wanted this is because once you create work like that, it opens up something for people. Jy kan yourself imagine groter as net die glass ceiling. That's what I see, what I believe. It's like you open up something different when you create different types of worlds. Not just this gangster, okay, we've got gangsters, we've got syplapper, we've got massa, you know? That's not all that we are, and that's, we can be more. We can be more, and that's what I believe. Ek weet ek loop nou seker van die lyn af hierso. When you draw from these sci-fi books, and that's why I love them, like, you know, J.K. Rowling's, like the whole Harry Potter. I believe in magic, and I would love to see that, you know, we create books in Kaaps, and that speaks about magic, that laat die kinders droom, you know, when children can dream, imagine what can happen. Brown children, you know, it's just something like, ek voel baie passionate oor dit. Ek voel baie passionate oor die feit dat ons stories moet, of at least, ons moet nie net skryf oor ons stories en ons swaar kry en ons, there must be other things. There must be. We've got beautiful children. There's just something, oh my God, we've got beautiful children coming up. And Skylar, you know, JP, amazing minds. And imagine, sy het die kinders wat hier is, en hulle die bekommernis. Man, maak my seer binnekant. Because I know what I could have been if I had that, you know? And all of us, like, what that would have been, what this world, South Africa could have been, like Southern Africa could have been. So future, what can come from that? And that's why I like these sci-fi books. And then also your Toni Morrisons and die swart skrywers, swart vroumense, wat skryf hulle vir my baie geïnspireer because they are black and because they are women. I was like, yes, I can also do this. I can do this. And I did it, which was, yeah. And of course, grace. Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got so many questions now about that what you just asked, and it's like my head's going like this. But the one thing then also that I wonder when you talk about imagination, and I think about representation and the way we are as colored people represented in media, violent, degenerate, hypersexual, drug addicts, alcoholics. And did you know, these are the stereotypes that I think we all, well, let me not speak for everyone, but certainly, you know, I can be working at UCT and still come up against some of those things that people unconsciously just let slip. Did you think about representation and how you were representing and what this representation would mean in terms of violence, in terms of the addiction, the kind of the illnesses, the illnesses of the mental health illnesses, the spiritual illnesses, the physical illnesses that are being depicted?
I think I just owed it to myself to first start writing that. To have, it's not cliches, it's not like stereotypes. This shit happens in the community, sorry for swearing and stuff like that, but it happens, it's right there. But ek wil nie net hier, dit moet gebeur nie. It's not just about that. So I made the choice. We've got, you know, we've got Carl, we've got Nick, we've got Sarah, we've got Lee. Sarah is straight, but she had like a vibe, some, you know, like a, and then you've got Lee, she's a lesbian, but she's a detective, you know, she's got that. And then you've got you've got Sister Rose. She's a bit confused because she's bekeer, maar dan is daar ook so, she's doing other weird stuff, so, you know. And I, you know, even though we want to say no, but these things don't happen. I'm sure it happens. I'm so sure. People use religion, they use Christianity as a way to say, this is who we are, and we're using this power to like do whatever we want to. And so I wanted to, some fiction, but I also wanted to reflect that these characters, they are here. David Elaine, I want to just say something about David Elaine. David Elaine, I heard about him in 2016. I was commissioned to do work in Ceres. And I heard about him. David Delane was a young man. He was 21 years old. Is that right, Mark? And he was murdered because he was gay. Hy was uitgebrand gewees. Like, uitgebrand. You burn someone just because you are not okay with him being gay. Like, what's wrong with you? What is wrong? So for me, it's like he inspired some parts of the book. Yeah. And so I didn't want to be cliche, but these things happen, you know, and need to be spoken about. First one at least.
Yes, and certainly I don't think I've encountered a novel in English or Afrikaans. Those are the only languages that unfortunately I'm proficient in. That sketches queer life in quite the same way. I mean, there's a real depth to it. There's I hate this word, authenticity, but there's a way in which where you can, you know, there's a depth, there's a life to the characters that goes beyond just these identities and the headlines that we see in the newspapers. So I think you've succeeded very beautifully on that front. My laaste vraag, ek weet jy is 'n gender studies persoon ook. Want ek het vir jou daar leer ken. Ek het jou daar gekry en leer ken. In also just resonating with one of the comments that you made about black women writers and how important they were. The novel has a cast of amazing women characters that you mentioned. Sarah's mom, Jennifer, right? And then Nick. I love Nick, even though she makes bad choices with her romantic life. But as we all do sometimes. So, you know, those women characters, I don't know if there's a central character, but Carl does, the plot pivots around Carl.
Yeah.
But just a little bit, those women characters, where do they come from? From the ether, obviously, but tell us more about them.
Yeah, because omdat ek nou haar vanaf kom, you know, I've been an activist. I believe that, you know, women, we need equality in the world and all of that. En ek is myself 'n vrou. Like, ek kan nie vir myself imagine inskryf 'n boek vol mansmense wat, like, you know, hulle vat, they take lead in. I can't imagine myself, you know, when I write a sci-fi, it's going to be, you know, you've got like this group of women that's going to lead. And I think it's important, because ek is 'n vrou. Ek wil boeke lees wat ek wil, you know, ek gaan hulle skryf wat ek wil lees. And I think that's the unconscious, subconscious choice I made to write Lee, Nick, Sarah, Jennifer. Mold's also there, you know. Yeah, I think. But also, like, to some extent, I want to say, no, just leave it. That's fine. Let's go.
No, you can't leave us like that, honey.
Sorry. No,
Say
it's
it.
like,
Please.
I also feel like maybe I didn't do that. Maybe it was just, you know, I'm a woman. I want women to be represented in the book, but you also have you have a transgender person, you have a gay person, and you have a straight person. I mean, and that's community. Like, if you go into communities, that is what it is. Jy gaan nie net een kry nie. Hulle lieg vir jou as hulle so sê. Seriously lying.
En ek is baie excited om te hoor in my next one. So that means there's more coming, and that's very, very exciting.